He spared no expense and pulled no punches. Turkey's president throwing his full weight into Sunday's referendum that could reshape the constitution and grant 63-year-old Recep Tayyip Erdogan broad-ranging executive powers. It's not all been enthusiastic clamoring. The purges that followed last July's failed coup have bled into a campaign upended by a crackdown on dissent. The Economist this week warns of a slide into dictatorship. So if polls give the yes camp the edge, which they do for the time being, why the heavy-handed approach? Why pick fights with the likes of Germany and the Netherlands over campaigning among the Turks abroad? What happens if the country votes yes? What if it votes no? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Turkey's day of reckoning. With us from Ankara, deputy leader of the Republican People's Party, the CHP. He's a member of parliament, Öztürk Yilmaz. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hurriyet Daily News columnist Barçın Yinanç will be with us. We'll also be joined by William Park, research fellow on King's College. And here in the studio, our own Lila Jacinto, whose four-part web doc on the campaign in Turkey is on our website, france24.com. Nice to see you. The France 24 debate on Facebook and on Twitter, the hashtag F24debate. Before we go to our panel, let's just give you a reminder. The latest polls, again, somewhere between 51 and 53% for the yes. That's according to surveys, but it's still all to play for. Rudaba Abbas has more.
It's a referendum vote that has the nation divided down the middle. On the 16th of April, Turkey will decide whether President Recep Tayyip Erdogan should be given more powers and possibly rule until 2029. According to the latest polls, it's neck and neck, with yes narrowly leading with 51.5%.
We can see a very strong movement. I'm sure that a no vote will make ballot boxes explode. We simply can't trust only one man to rule our republic.
Whether it's a yes or a no victory, life will continue as usual in Turkey. But of course, if yes wins, God willing, the coming days will be better.
It's estimated that nearly 10% of voters remain undecided. Those campaigning for a no vote are led by the opposition CHP party.
One man will decide how many ministers will be in the cabinet. One man will decide what their duties will be. One man will decide the number of deputies the president will have and what their duties will be. The parliament will be completely bypassed.
The CHP says the changes would remove checks on Erdogan's influence and see Turkey lurch into authoritarianism.
The CHP leader insists on one-man rule. What one man? Read those 18 articles and you'll see that's not the case. If being a party leader and the president is one-man rule, then Mustafa Kemal Atatürk was one man.
Critics say national television coverage is giving 90% of airtime to politicians who support the yes vote. The opposition are trying to counter this by bringing in their representatives into counting stations. Turks go to the polls on Sunday.
Yeah, before we go to our panel, let's go to correspondent Jasper Mortimer. Jasper, we're talking about those latest polls, the yes vote somewhere between 51 to 53%. However, on the hashtag F24 debate, let me read to you the reaction of Ruth. Polls don't seem to predict anything these days. Better off reading tea leaves, she says. Is Ruth right?
Well, I think it's unwise to take the polls seriously when they predict who is going to win. I think the race is too close for that. But the general trend of the polls is significant, and as your introductory spiel was saying, the polls are saying the undecided voters are 9 to 10% of the electorate, and that's a lot. Also, the polls are saying that voters are very reluctant to give their views, and for good reason. There's a well-known television actor and there's a well-known television journalist. They both separately declared that they would vote no, and they both got fired. and they both worked for private companies. And that shows just how far Erdogan's reach, Erdogan's influence goes in Turkey. I was speaking to the head of one of Turkey's most respected polling companies, Metropol, and its director, Özer Sancar, told me that the voters were, a lot of the voters, hiding their views and that they were lying to the pollsters. And he predicted that on Sunday, all the polling companies were going to get it wrong. He said, I think we're in for a big surprise. Now, if voters are lying and they are hiding their views, it's because they are no voters and they're scared of declaring themselves to be no voters in the prevailing climate of fear in Turkey. And that would suggest that the no vote can win. And I think that large undecided figure will be the deciding factor. When those undecided people actually go and cast their ballots, I think the country could get a big surprise.
Jasper, you've covered many elections these past 2 years. How would you characterize the mood when you walk the streets of Ankara 3 days before this referendum?
The mood is somber, François. You know, the Economist, which you were quoting just now, said the fate of Turkey is at stake. And that is not overstating it. Yes, voters have confidence that President Erdogan means well and good will come of his proposed constitution. No voters think that this is our last chance to stop dictatorship. You know, it's been a very unfair campaign. The vote yes posters are plastered all over the billboards of Ankara. It's very rare to find a poster saying vote no. The government has made sure that 90% of the television time allocated to the referendum has been given to politicians and commentators who support the yes vote. And people are saying if the government is prepared to break the rules as grossly as that, why wouldn't it use fraud when it comes to counting the votes? Now, the opposition parties are trying to make sure that they can check that there is no fraud by having representatives in every counting station. But that's very difficult. You know, the pro-Kurdish party, the HDP, nominated something like 150 election monitors down in southeast Turkey. The government refused to allow any of them in. A question in Parliament was asked about this. However, a US polling expert told me, and an opposition polling expert confirmed this, that if the difference between the yes vote and the no vote is as big as 5%, then fraud will not work, because 5% would be nearly 3 million votes, and you cannot make disappear 3 million votes.
All right, I
think the most dangerous result is going to be a narrow victory for the yes vote, particularly after this unfair campaign and because of the risk of fraud. If yes wins by, say, 51%, a lot of people will not believe it, and some of them will take to the streets.
Jasper Mortimer, many thanks. We're gonna rebound off what you just said now with Öztürk Yılmaz. Let me ask you, first of all, your party, the CHP, are they ready for election day? Do you have monitors ready for every polling station? How will the vote go?
First of all, let me characterize the election and the referendum. This is between good and bad, the choice between good and bad, between democracy and autocracy, between one man and Turkey. So we are fully prepared for referendum, and we believe that all polls showing some of them, governments, particularly AKP, is rallying support and showing that they are ahead of the no campaign. But in fact, this is not the true. I mean, we believe that on the Sunday night we will wake up a morning, successful and victorious morning with the no campaigners. We will win at the end of the day, because Turkish society is very silent at the moment. The silence means people could not explain their true view. and they are coming under pressure, intimidation, and a lot of fear in public. So undecided voters, at least overwhelming majority of them will say no in the referendum. So concerning
they will vote no. And what about observers? Tell us about that.
Observers, we have this, we have been dispatching observers to every ballot box. So we will do our best to be able to watch all the process of the vote casting process. Will it enough? We doubt. But at the end of the day, democracy will prevail. Government is controlling everything. Government is controlling media. Government is controlling ballot box. So Central Election Commission is under the authority of government. So, but we will do our best to secure the outcome. The outcome will be no. Despite some allegations, despite some polls showing the opposite, we believe we are in the streets, we are traveling from city to city, we have been watching people and attitude. People will cast their votes. No campaigner will be successful at the end of the day, no matter what they do, because this time there is an awakening in Turkey. Awakening, one man trying to divert Turkey's path from parliamentary democracy to a dictatorship to autocracy. This is for sure. The proposed amendments to the Constitution has nothing to do with democracy. It has nothing to do with executive presidency. It is simply a one-man regime in Turkey they want to introduce. So people will not accept this. We have a tradition of democracy with loopholes, but we will, at the end of the day, we will say no to these changes.
All right, so you're saying they'll accept it. Leo Jacinto, let me ask you, because when you were traveling and you're just back, you were on the campaign trail, you went to an Erdogan rally, you heard Jasper describe the mood as somber. You just heard there Öztürk Yılmaz talking about people being silent about their vote. What did you see when you were at those rallies?
Well, I went for Erdogan rally in Diyarbakir. This is, the de facto capital of the Kurds. Definitely I can concur with what Jasper said and also with what Öztürk said. Because, what you see is the obvious Evet camp. This is the yes camp. And the Diyarbakir rally was particularly startling because, everyone in Diyarbakir silently told me to look at the numbers of the license plates of the vehicles, so they had bussed in outsiders. The venue was a much smaller venue than they usually have rallies, so it looked much fuller. So definitely the people, and there are Kurds who support the yes campaign, but they are out there. They make themselves, seen. The people who don't are very quiet, and especially in the Kurdish southeast, this is an area that has been absolutely leveled by the fighting with the PKK. The HDP party, their leaders are in prison, so it's a very subdued atmosphere there.
All right, Leo Jacinto, we're going to get back to the topic. We're going to get back with our